Hello and welcome along to part 38 of this Dark Souls guiding playthrough. We're going to go to the Chasm of the Abyss, light the bonfire there, and then go and meet some NPCs. We're 2 hours away, or an hour and a half away from the release of Dark Souls 2. Wait a minute, the bloated head. The second paragraph, the bloated head is fissured, the cracks lined with innumerable tiny red eyeballs with a hard exterior and a mucus-filled interior. And if you look at the statues in Ulusil, you'll see they're all headless. And I'm not saying it's the case that the heads are hollowed out. You know, they've taken them and hollowed out the stone, and you know that's the bloated head basically. But some people have made that association. Some statues are also designed with peculiarities, so maybe the statue is specifically designed without a head for some symbolic reason. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, Dark Souls 2 is only an hour away, and I'm probably have the first part out by tomorrow of the guide. And I'm talking about the PC version, obviously. Anyway, I've put the Ring of Fog on here just to stop the sorcerers spamming their dark attacks at me while I take these two guys out. And if you don't put the Ring of Fog on, I'm pretty sure they do start attacking you as soon as you come down the stairs. There's an item over to the right, so we'll pick that up first. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Dark Souls 2 in the PC. I watched a video last night at 60 frames per second and it looked absolutely magnificent. I'm sure you guys are looking forward to it as well. I've used Power Within here because I want to use it not really against these sorcerers, but against the chained prisoner. So he casts fog, dark fog. Doesn't work. For some reason, it always kind of like it's always ends up being cast behind the player and never ends up causing any damage. The chained prisoner, I actually die here, and I've included this death because I think there's a lesson to be learnt from it. It wasn't because I'd used Power Within, although obviously Power Within increases the pressure that you're under, you know, for when you're fighting, because obviously you're losing health at every second, and you have to take that into account. But this guy has crazy reach with his bath plug stopper, or his stone or whatever it is that he's got attached to him. And he also has that lunging attack or ploughing attack with the piece of wood that's driven through his body. But yeah, it can be very... I don't remember him being this difficult before, but for some reason I did have trouble with him. And yeah, the reason I wanted to lure him towards the statues as well, because he's the only thing that can... I was lucky to get the dodge on here. This is where I die. So this point here I should have backed off. I went for the hit and I was rightfully killed. You know, that was just me being over enthusiastic. And I should have backed away, retreated, you know, either held my shield up and healed and then went back for the attack. Instead I went too offensive and died as a result. And I kept this in as well just to show you the poison infliction from their catalyst. Again, cast Dark Fog and it goes behind me. And some people have... I don't know if this is the case. I mean, I can't remember the specifics of the map that I uploaded or I linked to the other day. But some people have claimed or have made the association with the corridor in Duke's Archives. And you've got the statues on either side. And maybe some people have suggested that in the future this area here becomes Duke's Archives. I have no idea if there's any evidence to support that claim or whatever, but anyway, I've changed over to the Black Knight Halberd because it was just a bit easier. The Chaos Zweihander was just a bit too slow for taking this guy on. And there's actually, once we actually go down the elevator, you'll see that there's 4 prison cells. And under certain conditions there's 4 of these chained prisoners to fight. Not simultaneously. If you're gravelorded, if you've been Gravelorded, there's actually 2 here to fight. There's a red phantom and this guy, and somewhere in the abyss as well I believe there's 2 other phantoms, like black phantoms or red phantoms. And to be honest, I never remember what all the different colours denote for the phantoms. I think the red phantoms is something to do with being Gravelorded, and that's something that's very rarely happened to me. I think Gravelorded means when somebody puts a summon sign down in their world, and in 3 other players' world, it increases the difficulty by spawning these red phantoms, and then you can go and find the summon and invade that person to stop the invasion of red phantoms. I'm not really sure, never done it. Be careful with the elevator here. As soon as it appears, there's a bloathead on it. And he very kindly gave us 2 shards. So yeah, these are the prison cells, 1, 2, 3, 4. And some people have suggested that the abyss basically corrupted the bars of the cells, and that's how they escaped. And we're going to meet an NPC here. This is Lord's Blade Ciaran, and Ciaran is usually associated with male name, but it's female in this case.
Is that not the soul of the man who fell on this spot?
Artorias.
He was a dear friend. I wish to pay proper respect with that soul. Would you be willing to part with it?
And under normal circumstances I do give it to her, but in this case I say no because I enjoy the fight and I want to show you guys the fight.
I must not be presumptuous. Artorias would not have approved.
If you do give it to her, you lose the opportunity to create the Abyss Greatsword.
What is it? Something else? Have you
that
changed
hair,
your
that
mind?
blonde hair is false. It's not false, it's real, but it's not part of her.
Then you have no business with me.
And she's got the Cyclops porcelain mask. And the fight is very... she fights...
You humans.
Well, first of all, you
Always do what
humans.
you please.
That's an interesting statement. It implies that she's not a human. She's using the gold tracer and the silver tracer. One's better suited to PvP, and that's the silver one because it does increase massive critical damage, especially if you pair it with the Hornet Ring. And I believe it has some kind of poison effect or something. But yeah, she puts up a really good fight. It's one of the most interesting fights in the game. She fights like she looks like a human. She's bipedal and is dead now.
Oh, you humans, my dear.
So you humans, she says that a couple of times, and if you read the item descriptions for her chest piece, it says that the Lord's blades were female warriors. Women, no, it says women, something to do with women, and women denotes in our language human females. You don't use women to describe, female baboons or whatever. It's solely to do with human females. Anyway, this is a gold tracer. Gold tracer has very high bleed effect. It doesn't have very high bleed effect, but it's such a fast weapon that you can bleed enemies very quickly, especially in PvE. The dark silver tracer, it says it's got a poison attached to it. I've never used the dark silver tracer. I think maybe I've used it once or twice, but it's more suited to PvP when paired with the Hornet Ring. Whereas the gold tracer is good in certain circumstances in PvE. Anyway, porcelain mask, Cyclops headpiece, blah blah blah. We go to the robe. Common to all Lord's blades, these deadly women shift nimbly between layers of darkness, etching streaks of gold into the night air and planting visions of something or other. But yeah, I don't understand that. She hints that she's not a human, but the description for her chest piece clearly states it's to do with female women. And the mask says something about her being determined to join the ranks of the Lord's Blades, so maybe she isn't human.
Still alive, are you? Think of anything that you...
So,
Did you really slay Knight Artorias? I'd heard the Abyss found him first, but even
That's true.
still, that's absolutely treacherous. Yes, magnificently so.
Remember, he didn't really have warm feelings for Artorias. He said he was a kind of bland character.
Ulysses has brought the abyss upon itself, fooled by that toothy serpent.
Framt or
They
Calf.
upturned the grave of primeval man and incited his ornery wrath.
It's a lovely word,
Could they
ornery.
have been thinking? But to you and I, it's all ancient history. You have to ask yourself,
You and I, it's ancient history because
does
we're
it
from the
really
future.
matter?
Does it really matter because the events have already occurred? But that's contradictory because we're
I've little to
given
tell
rise to the
you,
future by
Melanie.
our actions in this period of this time period. Anyway, let's fight Cheesy Chester. Cheesy because of his kick move. So if you're human and you progress down these stairs a wee bit, he'll invade you as a red phantom. And then he has the cheek to call you thick when you have dialogue with him later on, because even though if you kill him as a red phantom, he's still available as a vendor. Yeah, there's something about that kick, like I said before, it's unblockable or it breaks your guard or something. But yeah, he's dead. He's more dangerous if you don't realise and you run down those stairs and then you're caught in the stairs with him. And we're back to Sanctuary Garden. Sanctuary Garden. I get that. I find that so hard to say for some reason. I have never. I don't see. I know I'd mentioned that there's two of these before. I don't think I'd ever fought these guys before. I don't remember fighting them. Or if I had fought them, I don't remember it being this difficult. But I swear I must have died at least 15 to 20 times to these guys. I'm obviously not going to show you all of these, and it'll be in the next video that I'll show you in my fight with these guys, but you can see that they're just annihilating you. And they like to rub it in as well, the way they get close up, right up to the camera. And I've never had a more challenging fight in any Souls game. Anyway, next episode, Kalameet.